Hi, this is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
It's a bird! It's a plane!
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to
The Krypton Report,
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Happy Halloween, and welcome to this special Krypton Report. And I was going to talk briefly about, the spooktacular fun of this season with a couple DC references that we can kind of fall back on. First, I'll give you a breakdown of some awesome, excellent episodes to watch to share in this holiday festivity. And then we'll talk about a story. Just a nice, simple, haunted story. Or was it? I feel like I got played a little bit this year. But let's dig into it, okay? Now, so, if you're in the mood for some DC Halloween specials, okay, here are some of note, okay? First of all, I highly recommend for a creepy Batman good time, The Batman Vs Dracula. Watch it about every other year. It's actually really dark. It was the first introduction to The Batman I had, because for the longest time I couldn't find any The Batman on DVD before streaming was a thing, and the only thing I could find was this movie. So I highly recommend that. And this is more just straight Halloween and not like scary horror-esque stuff. Because I've always said, there's a difference between, scary and magic and horror than just Halloween. So with that said, here are some great episodes of DC shows to celebrate Halloween with. We have Teen Titans Go, the Scary Figure Dance episode. And if you're not familiar, Teen Titans Go is ridiculously crazy. We also have the Teen Titans Go episode called Halloween versus Christmas. Or Halloween v Christmas. That is a good one. So just check that out. And the last one of Teen Titans is just called Halloween. Yep, Halloween. And you can check that out. Hulu right now has Teen Titans Go on it. And it is yet to be pulled. It's not on DC Universe, and I don't know if it's on HBO Max. I haven't looked. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. There's an episode of The Legends of Tomorrow called Phone Home. Kind of based off E.T., which E.T., did have the scene set at Halloween. I had forgotten about the episode of Arrow entitled Damage, where Tommy Merlin hosts a Halloween party at Oliver's nightclub. So that's one that I'm revisiting this year. Constantine the series, the awesome series that was too short-lived, has a Halloween episode called The Rage of Caliban. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you haven't seen the show, check it out. And also, I figure, with just horror, Constantine the movie is really good to revisit. I like to watch it at Halloween time, even though it's not like a direct Halloween tie-in. It just has that vibe. Batman, the Brave and the Bold has the Trial of the Demon episode. The cold opening at the beginning is straight up Halloween. And it's awesome, and I kind of wish it wasn't the cold opening and it was just the full-on episode. And also with The Batman, the Grundy Night, it's pretty much a zombie episode, but it's cool. It works. One that the children and I just rewatched today was Secrets. It's season 1, episode 18 of Young Justice. And in that, there's a Halloween party that Miss Martian, Superboy, and Wally go to as kind of the B story. And the secondary story involves Artemis and Zatanna. And it's really cool to watch. So one of the newer Halloween episodes to watch is Justice League Action, Season 1, Episode 18, Trick or Threat, which is awesome because it was written by Paul Dini, and it is a great little episode of Zatanna, Dr. Fate, Batman, and Constantine as children trick-or-treating on Halloween night. So I checked that out. And if you want another tie-in to DC, you can watch this year's Scooby-Doo. Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo actually has the Scarecrow, as in Jonathan Crane, in it. It was weird. It was pretty good. It could have been better, but it was pretty good. I was a little disappointed, but it could have been better. But speaking of Scooby-Doo, check out Scooby-Doo and the Scarecrow. That is a great little short written by Paul Dini, so of course it's going to be awesome, and you guys can enjoy it. Now, moving on, Superman podcast. You'll find that what sucks about a show that's yearly, like Smallville, is it only did one episode that was actually Halloween, and that is the Season 5, Episode 5, entitled Thirst. And it sucks that it's so campy, corny, and it's the one Halloween episode we get. I mean, in Season 4 we had the episode of Spell, which was all about witches, which could have been cool if they had tied it in, and made it happen at Halloween, but it didn't. But in Thirst, it's just one of those everything happens to Lana, like, she's the only thing that anything ever happens to. And basically, it's a cool episode because, on one hand, you're watching the episode from being told by the perspective of Chloe, who's writing an article to try to get a job at the Daily Planet. So your narrator, in a sense, is an unreliable narrator in the sense that she hasn't experienced everything she's telling you firsthand. Okay. The second part being that it's a bookended kind of episode with, Chloe at the beginning and Chloe at the end with setting up the job. But the editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet at the time is played by the late, great Carrie Fisher. That's right. That actress that appeared in Scream 4 or 3. A little small part, in the basement. And she's done a few other things. She shot a machine gun in Blues Brothers. And there was something else she did. I think it was The Burbs with Tom Hanks. Yeah. And a little thing called Star Wars. Yeah, we've never mentioned that before, but a little thing called Star Wars. So that's really cool that she was actually in the series. And it's a fun episode in parts. Some of it's just a little over the top. And I guess that's how it's supposed to be with, like, the opening scene of the sorority and the way basically it's like a setup. Pizza delivery dude shows up. Half-naked college girls are there, and then they take him to the hot tub and then turn into vampires. And no more pizza guy. So, poor man. And then, of course, it plays out. I do like there's some humor in the episode just with the fact that Clark makes a reference when he and Chloe have to go in and investigate. In a costume, he's dressed as Zorro, which is really kind of fun if you think about it, because, Zorro was the influence of Batman, and it was kind of funny to see him talk about he kind of liked the cape but hated the mask. I see what you did there, Smallville. In Season 5, we still got a long way to go. And that's our big Halloween episode of Superman, Thirst, where Lana turns into a vampire after being a witch in the previous season. I'm very surprised she never turned into a werewolf. Now that would have been an episode. We could have called it Teeth or Silver, since we have to keep to one-word titles. Wolf. But, whatever. And so that's it on kind of like TV and shows. The other thing is DC last year put out a thing called DC's like Halloween book. And I bought it and I hated it Be honest, there was only one little short in there that was Halloween, and the rest was just more horror tales. And like I stated before, to me, there's a difference between horror and Halloween. And it just was like horror tales, which is fine, but that's not what I want when I purchase a Halloween special. It'd be like getting a Christmas book, and it's just set at winter. You're like, great, it's winter. Doesn't mean it's Christmas time. January is winter. It's depressing. So moving on. The comic that I read this year is one I've been wanting to read for a while, and that was the classic Lois Lane comic. That's right, a Lois Lane comic. And it was entitled, are you ready? Dun-dun-dun-dun, Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane #1. Has a classic great cover of Superman flying. It's a full moon. Lois is on a broom. And it has the captions where she says, he, thanks to this witch's broom, I can now fly as fast as you, Superman. And he says, great guns, Lois has supernatural powers. They may prove mightier than mine. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be a sweet. It's called Lois Lane, the Witch of Metropolis. So I'm like pumped. Like, okay, this is going to be great. Finally, I'm going to read this story. And I read the story. It is technically the third story in the comic. It's a short. It's a completely different witch style than what we see. This is all like an old haggard. And spoilers, it's very misleading. It kind of sucks. Lois, is dealing with like this dual identity because basically the premise is she's at a museum at the beginning, and here's this tale about a lady that was cursed, and she turned into what they called Mad Molly, because her name was Molly Todd. Todd, funny, right? During the day, and then at night she turned into Mad Molly, the witch. So Lois starts turning old and haggardy into what she perceives to be her witch's identity in the evening, and then there's some fun stuff that happens and plays out where she's talking with Clark, and it has a kind of a cutesy kind of end to it, but at the same time, I was disappointed. I really wanted a good Halloween tale with Superman, but I guess he's a character that you could have fun with on Halloween, but they just haven't done it. So that's a quick rundown, get you some DC going on this festive holiday. I hope everyone's safe and enjoys their trick-or-treating. And if anybody is dressing up as any DC characters, make sure you drop a picture or a post or link or whatever on the Facebook page, and we can check those out. All right? Guys, take care. Be safe out there.
Look up in the sky.